He was so easy to love. He was easygoing, he was happy, he was funny, he was goofy.
Christine Leinonen had one child, a 32-year-old son named Christopher Andrew Leinonen.
We were the Chris Leinonen team, which is cool when you're 7. When you're 14, it's not so cool anymore. Because he'd say, well, why didn't you have any more kids? Well, how could I do better than perfect, Christopher? You're perfect.
Her son went on to be a successful therapist who fell in love with a man named Juan Ramon Guerrero.
I could see that they could be across the room, like Chris could be over in the corner and Juan could be at the counter, and yet they could communicate non-verbally.
And one night, the young couple decided to go dancing at a place they often went to, Pulse Nightclub in Orlando, Florida.
What was the last thing you said to Christopher?
Every phone conversation I always ended with, I love you, Chris, and he'd say, love you too, Mom.
It was the type of love only a mother could know, proud and protective, the type that would unravel any parent if something bad happened to their child, an experience Christine lived through in front of the entire world on ABC News.
Well, they said there's a lot of dead bodies in the club. That's a crime scene. They can't identify anybody. So it could be hours and hours.
The world came to know you probably in your darkest hour. It was one of those interviews that I still look back and immediately the first thing I did was call my mom just to say hi.
Exactly.
Just to check in. And because it reminds you how rapidly life can change.
For the moms out there who have gay sons and they saw me desperate to just spend one more second with my gay son, what I wouldn't do to find out that he was alive, or even if I had to switch places so that he could be alive and I would be not around. I'm sure a lot of moms just put their foot down and said, I need my son. I need my son around me. I need to have a loving relationship with my son, that I don't care whether they're gay or straight, whether they're married or single, whether they want to have kids or don't want to have kids.
It's your son.
Yeah, they're my child, they're my son, and my son's going to be a part of my life.
Did your son's death alter your life's purpose, do you think?
My life's purpose, I am just in a totally different place. I have to now lead the Chris Leinonen team again and be my son's voice again.
Christine turned her anguish into activism. A month after her son's murder, she spoke at the 2016 Democratic National Convention.
I know common sense gun policies save lives.
And continued telling her son's story across the globe.
Christopher lost his voice much too young, but I didn't lose mine.
What is he saying through you? What issues are you trying to tackle for him?
My most important issue is clearly that we need gay rights activists.
Do you think in order to improve gay rights, we need to address gun rights?
Well, that's my secondary issue, is that we need gun safety in this country. It's clear that we have mass shooting after mass shooting after mass shooting. It's so staggering that you don't even remember the number. You don't even remember all the names.
49 people died and 53 were injured in the Pulse shooting, the deadliest in modern American history. Sonia Parra lost 7 friends in one night.
We're not going to stand by all these laws that are just open free to anybody to get a gun.
She and David Moran gathered with Gays Against Guns outside Pulse on the morning the One Pulse Foundation announced how it will memorialize the site of the shooting.
You're not only dealing with trying to be an activist to address anti-racism and anti-LGBT equality, but also gun safety and weapons control, but you're also you're traumatized and you're grieving. You can't let that allow for there not to be conversations about changing the fact that someone legally went into a store and bought an assault rifle and then drove up here and murdered people.
So we ask, what have lawmakers done to ensure other dance clubs like Pulse don't become memorials?
Here's a look at what Florida lawmakers proposed this legislative session. Democrats wanted mental health screenings for those applying for a concealed weapons permit and a ban on assault weapons. Neither of those passed. Republicans expanded the Stand Your Ground law and made it easier to claim self-defense in pretrial hearings. And Republican State Senator Greg Steube alone put forth 10 gun proposals, including one that would have eliminated gun-free zones altogether for concealed weapons permit holders. Those are places like K-12 schools, courthouses, athletic events, establishments that serve alcohol, like Pulse Nightclub, and airport passenger terminals. This idea was presented after a January 2017 mass shooting inside Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport that killed 5 people and injured 6 others. These proposals failed due to more moderate Republicans like Annie Terry Flores, who spoke out against reducing traditional gun-free zones.
Well, surprisingly, it's been somewhat encouraging to see that it just didn't go through. And you wonder, I've heard Christine Leinonen, Drew's mom, say, you wonder if he couldn't have been able to buy that gun, maybe he wouldn't have done it.
There are weapons that you can have for your protection, for hunting. This assault weapon with the high-capacity clips has only one purpose, and that's to maximize carnage. And that's what mass shooters want to do. They want notoriety.
So if someone says to you, you want to take our guns away, what do you say?
Of course I don't want to take anyone's guns away. I have guns. I'm a former law enforcement officer. I am an attorney who's a constitutionalist. I embrace the Second Amendment. The second and third word of the Second Amendment, it's actually a compound word, is well-regulated. A well-regulated militia has a right to bear arms. We are designed to be well-regulated.
Days after the Pulse shooting, Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy, who was elected into office just weeks before the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting in 2012, filibustered the Senate for 15 hours along with 40 Democrats. The filibuster ended after Republicans agreed to allow votes on gun control. Democrats proposed this: 1, block anyone on the terrorist watch list or any other federal terrorism database from purchasing guns or explosives, and 2, expand background checks to include guns purchased online or at gun shows. Republicans then proposed a 72-hour hold on gun purchases by those on the terror watch list, more specific definitions of mental illnesses that would disqualify people from buying guns, and improving the current background check system rather than expanding it. Nothing came of it. The American Medical Association called gun violence a public health crisis, estimating 30,000 people die each year at the barrel of a gun. Still, the U.S. has seen 0 gun laws emerge that would have prevented a man who was once investigated for possible terrorist ties from legally purchasing a 6-hour AR-15 style assault rifle and a Glock, and then killing 49 people and injuring 53 others in a matter of minutes.
What do you think every time you see a failed filibuster, a failed proposal for gun safety? What goes through your head when you kind of repeatedly see inaction?
I don't feel any real hope that most of our elected officials are going to serve the majority of people. I don't feel any hope for that. Thanks to these ridiculous gun laws, thanks to that, now my son cannot do the things on his bucket list. I mean, Christopher wanted to go to Germany. He wanted to go to Japan. He wanted to get married. He wanted to have kids. And because of these gun laws, he can't. So he's been denied something that you yourself want for your family. That's how easy you are denied that. One guy with one gun.
What do you say to the argument that if there were more guns in that club that night, that more people may still be alive?
There were 300 cops there within a couple of minutes. Within 20 minutes, 300 cops there with guns. So if you think one guy with one gun is going to take down one guy with this type of gun, it didn't happen. And it's not going to happen. You have to get rid of that gun.